Good night.
Chuggity chug.
He's drunk as fuck.
Alright guys, for this Homebrew Wednesday I'm going to make some Apple Jacks, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on it. What I'm going to need is, I'm making a 6-gallon batch, so I'm going to need 16 of these juices, which, you know, I've purchased. You know, they're about $1 a piece, and we'll make it out of frozen concentrate, so, I mean, that's not bad. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding them one by one, and once I get them all in here, I'll get back with you. Alright, so now I'm down to 2 cans left. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go along and put it in a pot, these two. Add, you know, 2 cups of water with each of them. And it's 6 gallons. It's 2 pounds of brown sugar per pound, or per gallon. So that's 11 pounds of brown sugar, which I'm going to go ahead and add and dissolve up into that. And then dump into this, rinse out these containers and put it in there as well. And I'll show you how all that's done. Alright, I have a correction on the measurements. I used 7 pounds of brown sugar, 6 gallons of water. 7 pounds, yeah, so and it came out to 1.09, which is about 12%. And that's where I'm going to start it. But this is Apple Jacks, and it's a little bit different. What I'm going to do is a freezer distillation. And this is for, you know, people that, you know, live in states that you're not allowed to have a still, which by federal law you're not allowed to have a still anywhere, but by, you know, state laws it breaks down. So it's kind of like the medical marijuana thing. It just, if you live in Missouri, don't take it off your property, stuff like that. You know, be safe with it, be smart, don't make over it. You know, it says you can make 200 gallons of alcohol of any sort, but, you know, I wouldn't just push it in that one direction, because people will wonder what your motives are. But okay, anyway, this is a freezer distillation, and this is completely, you know, 100% legal in every state. And what I'm going to do is go along and stick it in the freezer. And what's going to happen, you know, because, okay, for right now I got the Camden tablets in there, and they're going to eat away all the bad stuff. And tomorrow I'm going to drop my yeast. I'm going to use EC1118, which is an aggressive yeast. I want to get it done as quick as possible, because the thing behind this is it's something that shouldn't take you a month to make. It should be, you know, done in about 3 weeks. You should have your product ready to drink, ready to distribute, you know, not distribute, but drink and give amongst friends that happen to come your way, things like that. And what I'm going to do is freeze all this, and every hour on the hour I'm going to check on it. I'm going to take a strainer and I'm going to scoop out all the ice and let it sit in another bucket and drain, and then keep dumping it back in there and throw the ice in another bucket. So it's going to take 3 buckets to do it, but eventually it's going to get to the point that the majority of the liquid in here will be alcohol. And I'm wanting it to be, you know, maybe 30%, usually 30, you know, freezing distillation will go up to 30%. And that's what I'm shooting for. So it's, you know, so much for me making lower proof wines, because alright, so here's the Apple Jacks. I've got them go along. They're doing its thing, or it's doing its thing right now. What I'm trying to do right now is go ahead and let this freeze. And once it freezes, I'm going to remove it and put it in these buckets. Got my strainers there all ready to go. Once it starts to freeze, which I think it'll take a couple days. There's no air circulating in this, so it's time consuming, but that's okay. But as it freezes, the water will freeze, the alcohol will not, so I'll keep scooping it off and keep re-adding it into that bucket. And when it, you know, comes out to its final product, you know, depending on what the temperature is, you know, this is, I think this gets down to like negative 410 or something, 10, 12, and that'll be like 30%, which is okay with me. I mean, if you wanted to make them stronger, there's a legit way of doing it, and it's take isopropyl alcohol at, you know, 99% and put dry ice in it, and do the same thing. You know, put it inside a large pickle jar and let it sit inside that, and that, you know, that's going to drop it quite a bit. You know, a couple, you know, to the point that you're going to have, you know, 50%, you know, 60% alcohol, because that water is going to freeze and it's going to be quite stout, and it's legal. You can legally make it that strong by doing that, and there's no repercussions behind it. But here's some of the Applejack I've got going. As you can see, I'm scooping it out and putting the ice in it, letting it drip. And this is what I do right here. This one's, the one on the left is the one that's been filtered already, and you can see it's already starting to form some ice crystals again. The one on the right is where it drips into, because it was starting to get full. I'm using the ice as a filter because eventually I'm going to get down to the bottom where the yeast is and stuff, the sediment. And if I dump it through that ice, it's going to clear it up. So that's what the next step will be. So I'm taking out a little bit of the ice at a time and putting it in this bucket here, which you can still see there's some flavoring in it, but I'm not going to nitpick through it. That's majority of it's gone. But it's doing its distillation here in the freezer, so it's staying cold. But this is where I'm at. I'm pretty close to getting ready to start bottling it. I'll put it in a mason jar along with a cinnamon stick and go about it that way. I've already started drinking on it, and it's got a real good flavor to it. Drank a coffee cup of it, and I'm already starting to feel a buzz, so I'm definitely happy with the end result. But this is where it's at. Now, this is what I'm doing here. I'll show you. As you can see, okay, I dumped some of that top layer of ice, but here it is. And as you can see, there's ice crystals in it. As I pull it up, I pour it through here. And of course, running through that ice, clean it. It's just about to the point I'm ready to dump the bucket in it. Call it a day. Probably push everything up to the side, kind of create a cone in the middle, and slowly pour. As you see, as I dig down into it, there's still quite a bit of flavoring there, so I'm not going to push it too hard. But there it is. That's the Applejacks, and that's all I had to do was go along and freeze it. Like I said, the alcohol won't freeze, the flavoring of the apple won't freeze, the water will freeze. So you're definitely got like a real strong apple taste. Like I said, I'll put a cinnamon stick in it. The alcohol at this temperature is about 30%, so it's 60 proof. I mean, that's a pretty good proof. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing. So, you know, when I get to that stage, I'll let you know. And the thing about, you know, like I said, it'll concentrate the methanol, but there's methanol in beer, there's methanol in wine, there's everything you drink has it. It's just like these whiter wines don't have it as strong as the red wine. So if you were doing some cherry or some raspberry or something of that nature, you're going to have a stronger methanol content, which will give you a hangover. But, man, that's more towards a still thing. Because, look, if you concentrate your methanol and put it in that first jar and drink it, it's going to make you sick. That's what'll make you go blind. That's where the problems come in. But like I said, unless you're taking dry ice and sticking it in isopropyl alcohol or something and really dropping the temperature of it, you really don't have to worry about it. But here you go. And here's the end result. Put 2 cinnamon sticks in it for me, but the Applejacks has been filtered off and frozen. Pulled it out of the freezer. Well, not recently. It's in the refrigerator. It was just done tonight, and I'm going to drink it, but here it is. Usually you can put 1 to 2 sticks in it. Depends on the size of the jar. I like mine a little spicy, so I put 2 sticks in this particular one because I'm drinking it tonight, and I just want to keep shaking it and get that cinnamon spice to it. But there it is, complete. Filtered it off, put it in jars, and that's it.